operational administrative session to order. And we'll start with Marla.
Municipal elections ballots went out yesterday, so
Oh.
people will start seeing those in the mail.
Okay. That all?
Yep, that's all I have.
Okay. Chrissy, you got anything?
We have former agenda item, we just need to re-sign the letter, they sent it back in one date changed.
Oh,
Already approved in a previous meeting,
they just wanted the date changed? Okay.
changed. We did the turkey vouchers and the indigent.
Indigent defense, yeah.
That will be on the agenda.
Okay. All right. Jenica. You got what to who? Okay. That's it?
Yep, that's it.
No closed session? Ooh. I won't get too excited till I get to Steve.
Gotta figure out how to make this work.
I can't see Kevin back there. He needs to sit on a booster seat. You got anything today? You got anything, Kev?
Charlene, which one?
Okay, you're good. Sheriff? Nothing? Scott?
2 items tonight.
Okay,
I think fairly
So why
straightforward.
do you just do the presentation?
I didn't see anything
That's all we need then. Just-
too out of the, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, so. Okay,
Okay.
Steve, you got anything?
Nope,
No closed session?
no closed session.
Commissioner?
We are gonna have that meeting tomorrow evening for that countywide master water plan, that kickoff meeting.
Okay,
And, so if you gentlemen would like to come, you're invited, but it's, by invitation only, really, this time around. It's, Home Arts Building at the fairgrounds, starting at 6
That's tomorrow night.
tomorrow night, yep.
okay. Thanks for doing that. You got anything else besides that?
Nope, that's all.
Okay. Commissioner Perry?
Just things for the meeting. I don't think we have anything else.
Okay. And I don't have anything for this meeting, so we'll take a, oh, Charlene. Did you just sit down? I missed you. Oh, you've been running fast. I couldn't see you. I know this is the big one for you, so anything else we need to know besides just wait for it to come up?
We'll just talk about it then.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Okay, we'll take a 11-minute recess and wait till 5 o'clock and start our regularly scheduled business meeting.
Okay.
Over times before COVID, I was putting 1,400 or 1,500 miles on my car a month. Before the whole Zoom conference and everything else. It's crazy. How busy we can be. And as busy as people want you to be, I guess. I don't hear the bell tolling outside. Bells must be broke. Well, it looks like it's 5 o'clock on November 1st, 2023. We're going to call commission meeting to order. Looks like I'm given the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by our Community Development Director, Scott Lyons, so. Our dear God, Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee as commission tonight, we appreciate Thy hand in all the things that we do. Please continue to watch over and bless our community and our state and our nation, that we be able to get through these trying times. Please watch over our law enforcement and for the people that keep us safe, for the people that continue to put their lives on the line, and especially those people that are in foreign lands. May they be blessed to come home also. Again, Heavenly Father, we have a special blessing upon those people that need Thy love and that are suffering at this time. And help us to reach out to them and ease their burdens. And we ask these favors and blessings in the name of my Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please stand and join me in the pledge.
Thanks, Scott. Looked like we can approve some minutes. Entertain a motion.
I'll make,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for
October 18th.
October 18th, 2023. Thank you.
Second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Bingham, a second by Commissioner Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Administrative review reports. We have a future or agenda item. We need a former agenda item, okay? And it was on like a date that we needed to change, you said?
Yes, the letter to, Marta.
Oh, okay. We just need to have a motion to change the date.
I don't really know that you need
Oh, not a motion?
to make a motion. It was already, the letter was already approved, the letter of support.
It's just needed a date change.
Whatever you
If you're
want.
putting that in your form agenda items, you probably ought to.
Okay, I'm entertain a motion to change the date on the letter.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Yeah, this is a letter for the Division of Wildlife Resources to discuss the land acquisition, privately owned to work with the private property owner to purchase the Salt Creek Waterfowl Management Area. So they just need a different, they just needed to change the date. So I'd make a motion that we modify and change the date on the letter that we sent to them.
Second?
Got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
You guys got anything else? On follow-up? Okay. We're good on emergency issues. You guys had a pretty cool thing today out at the fairgrounds. Do you want to come up here and talk about that a little bit, Mark?
Sure.
Please. Sorry I never got back to you. I tried like 15 times, but.
Mark Millett, Box Elder County Emergency Manager. We're in the middle of a 4-day exercise with Hill Air Force Base on a recovery exercise for recovery in the event of a transportation emergency for an intercontinental ballistic missile, Minuteman missile segment. And there's three solid rocket booster stages, and there's the guidance stage. It's got some bad, nasty chemicals, and the team that comes out recovers those portions of that. So we started on Monday. Our local responders was part of that, and then the next 3 days is their team is just going through the processes of taking the truck apart and recovering the container inside and recovering the system. So it's been a pretty good interoperable
Cool.
exercise.
And we just did it there on the west side of the
on the
fairgrounds,
side of the
in the
fairgrounds,
parking lot. I've seen them, so.
Yeah.
Thanks for all you do.
You bet.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you. Okay, you got nothing else? We're ready for you then.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to do some of this on the mic, and then we're going to go out here in front in just a second. But as you're all aware, we've implemented a County Employee of the Month program, where once a month, we recognize one of our employees or a group of employees that have gone above and beyond. There's some situations occurred in our county that, while these are all individuals that are worthy of that recognition and that reward as an Employee of the Month, they went even beyond that. And so we have a special service recognition. This isn't an Employee of the Month recognition. This is actually, we're calling it the Special Act of Service recognition. These individuals all went far above and beyond what would be expected of anybody. They didn't get hired on. Nobody said, when you get hired on in this job, you may have to try to save the life of one of your fellow employees. Those who work in law enforcement, those who work in fire do get that, and they do that. But when you work in other places in county government and other places in government, you don't. That's not necessary. And I will tell you, after spending 30-plus years in law enforcement, there's a lot of people who would stand and watch that wouldn't get involved and wouldn't do the things that these gentlemen did. So with that, I want to bring up that we actually had 2 incidents with this individual. One of our county employees passed away this last month. Quentin Van Weer passed away, but prior to his passing away, he actually had an incident at the county road shed where Tyler Wagstaff and one other employee who's no longer with us stepped forward and helped save his life and kept him okay. And he went to the doctors at that point. And so we want to recognize Tyler tonight, but we want to recognize him along with the other members of the county road shed that were with Quentin when he lost his life. Quentin, they were out west, and he obviously had a traumatic incident happen with his heart where he had a heart attack and they weren't able to resuscitate him. I know they used the AED, and they used that. They had that available to him, and they actually did CPR on him to try and save one of their fellow coworkers' lives. Probably the toughest thing you'll ever have to do, and I shouldn't be the one doing this. And I know that even Tyler had to go notify the family, and as Tyler and I talked, that's also one of those jobs that I hated when I did it. But these guys are truly the epitome of the greatness in Box Elder County, stepping up and doing what they did for the Van Weer family, for Quentin. And I want to make sure they know that as county commissioners, we've got your back. We're there, we're supporting you, we appreciate all you do. And we're going to give you a certificate here, but we have something else in mind to give you to recognize the above and beyond what you did. We'll work that out with Tyler and Darren, and we'll get with each of you individually and work that out to recognize what you did here. We're just going to give you a certificate tonight and publicly recognize and thank you because, like I said, a lot of people would just stand there. They wouldn't get in and do what you guys did. So with that, I want to recognize one of our supervisors, Tyler Wagstaff, for what he did, as well as James Page, Justin Douglas, Mike Burnett, Eric Berry, Jerry Richens, Bruce Morris, and Sean Nicholas. If we could get you all to come up here in front of this table right here, we'll present you with your certificates here, so.
That's okay. We'll just, you guys get in front, we'll just step behind and go in between the creases.
Lee did say that we have your back.
Yeah, we're approved.
Just all his word right now.
I'm good.
There we go. You just shake each of your hand. Thank you. We're gonna get a picture with you here real quick.
Gonna come out
We're
front.
gonna just stay back here. We'll go in between the cracks.
Give you something to snicker at.
I would like you like it.
Act like you know each other a little bit.
Hopefully that works. Okay. Hopefully one of those works.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you never have to do that again. Okay.
Now, y'all don't have to stay from here on out, other than Tyler has to stay, and
has to
maybe he makes
stay.
y'all stay to
wanna
help
have
support him in
Tyler
his
back?
efforts that he's gotta do for Darren tonight. But we won't make y'all stay if you don't wanna stay. Just know that we do appreciate you, and we wanted to recognize you publicly, so.
Go ahead, you guys.
Yeah, they've never told me that.
Thanks, you guys. Terry Friedel, come on up. We just need to know your name and where you're from and what you're doing here. And pull that mic right up next to you. I think you ought to make ex-mayor Friedel come up with you, but
I'm Terry Friedel, and I am here representing the Tremont Women's Civic League. Last year, we had a pickleball tournament to raise money for our club, and you were kind enough to waive the fee, so we didn't have to pay the fairgrounds to pay for that. And we're requesting that again because we're going to have another pickleball tournament. And the money we use that we receive from our fundraisers, we use for different things, like we just barely gave 91 throws or blankets to the Tremont Food Pantry for them to give out at Christmas. And we have given little cars, little toys to the Garland and Tremont City Police Department so they can give them to children when they have a crisis, when the officers have to be at their homes. We give out scholarships to kids at the high school. We send money, well, we send $500 to Zambia for a scholarship there so they can, that's in Africa. And last year we did little bags, gave them to the hospital. They had little bibs in them and they had little books for newborns so their parents could read to them. And we just do all kinds of things, and so we're requesting that you waive the fee again this year.
We're sorry we make you come every year, but we have to, so. You guys got any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we waive the fee for the
Tremont Civic League.
Tremont Women's Civic League.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Bingham, second by Commissioner Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate
Make him
it
take
very
you out
much.
to supper since on the way home.
So
have a
I just
meeting.
have one question.
Yes.
Does the mayor still have pink fingernails?
Nope.
No, okay, I just wondering, I
Today,
just
but
wondering.
On pink, on
There you go, on Pink Day.
On Pink Day,
Pink
okay.
Day, he does them.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you, honestly, thank you. Arnold Lamb, come on up, Arnold. Just sit right there and pull the mic up and,
I don't know, 50 years ago,
I need to hear your
50
name,
years ago,
your
Arnold
name and
Lamb,
where you're from.
Plymouth,
Okay, I know where you're from, but everybody else
that's
doesn't
sort
know.
of the,
Yep,
a guy bought a tractor with a little plate on the front of it, and he pushed dirt up against his fence line so the water that crossed the county road wouldn't go across his farm ground. And it went down through the field and washed our road out. And that was way back when Clarence Fosberg ran the grader up there.
it's been a
Most
day.
of you don't even remember him.
It's been a day or two.
But we talked to him, and he just said, okay, we'll fix it. And he just took his blade and went down the south side of the road and ran the water down and through the culvert and down the other waterway. Well, a couple of years ago, the county went and put the culvert back in that where it used to go across 50 years ago, but they didn't follow the water down to see where it was gonna go, and it just washes the road out and it washes down through the field and makes a hell of a mess. I'm not saying we need to take the culvert out if you want to keep it in, but you got to follow the water to where it used to go to the river, not just let it run. I mean, it's like blowing the leaves over on a neighbor's lawn.
Right,
And
So Arnold, what are you recommending?
I'd like you to put it back where we had it for the last 50 years, run it down the south side and through the culvert. And it's a bad deal. The culvert on the corner, and that's a narrow corner. It
we
was
talked
good
about
back
it,
when
yeah.
farmers had a 10-foot plow, but now, hell, Randy, I made a good gate for him to get through my place, and I just stepped it off. I thought 30 foot through 10 steps is good enough, and he showed up with a 36-foot header on his combine. I had to go cut a post off to get him through. But that corner is too narrow, too sharp, and they put a new culvert in, but they've ran over the end of it too. They come up and put an extension on, and I don't know how they thought water was gonna get through that extension. I got a picture of it, but it's terrible. I would like to see them take the culvert out partway up the road, put it back where we've had it for 50 years,
okay. And I know
and go
Darren's,
down there and fix that
I
culvert
know
on the
Darren's
corner.
talked to you before, and I've talked to you before.
I've had 3 people up there,
Right,
and they've all said, yeah, something's gotta be done, and winter's coming on.
well, and like I said, it just seems like every time we turn around, we've got another
Well,
disaster.
that's true too, but
We had that bridge collapse over by the Fielding Stake Center. We had, 4 or 5 floods out west that took out roads. So I know you're on the list, but I hate to say
you know,
that.
winter's coming, and when it freezes, we can't do nothing till after the runoff next spring, and
Yep.
It just washes that farm out worse and washes the road out.
And I got people in East Garland's got the same problem that if we get winter, they've got 15 homes that flood every year if we don't get that finished either, but winter's coming, like you said. So,
So that's a gravel road?
yeah.
They've got that corner so built up that if I go over there with my fifth wheel trailer and have anything on the trailer, I have to go up to the other corner, turn around and come back and go down in that way. And the same coming out, because if I just go off like that, the fifth wheel part hits the bed of my pickup.
Because it's built up so far. Okay.
It's just screwed up bad.
After you get done with us, just go over to this gentleman right here and make sure he has your number too, Tyler, on your way out. And we'll make sure we'll at least try to get something done before winter hits. Hopefully winter's not tomorrow.
Well, I know I'm a pain in the butt, but
No, you're
only
fine.
3 of us use that road.
Yeah. No, you're not a pain in the butt. I appreciate you coming. We all got to do what we got to do. So I know we're waiting for the Army Corps of Engineers on that bridge collapse. They won't let us do what we need to do. Government. I was going to say damn government, but I'll just say government. So we're just kind of waiting on that. So let's see what we can do maybe in the meantime, because we're kind of up there, close to you, right there by the Riverside, church. So, okay, just give him your name and number and let's see what we can do.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Arnold.
Good to talk to you. Personal property from Terry Bean.
Sorry, Terry's not here.
Okay.
Representing
Okay, you're fine.
for Kate Equipment. My name is Karen.
You need to speak into the mic and
Okay.
tell us who you are and what you're doing.
My name is Karen, and I'm representing Kate Equipment for
Okay.
Terry.
Okay,
Did everyone get the letter? Can I pass out?
I think I got it in my,
Yeah, I got it in the packet.
I'll just pass out one for each one of you.
So where is your business located?
It's in Salt Lake.
Where is it in Box Elder County?
You know what, that I'm not, what this is it's rentals. You rent some equipment at different times
Uh-huh.
from Kate. And you seemed important for taking pictures. So if you look at this, first of all, we just want to apologize for the oversight. One of our employees had a medical issue, and that's why the data filing was late. And that's kind of what this whole letter is about. So we're just asking that you can adjust that and showing that there's no taxes due. If you look at the first page, this just shows back in 2021, there were no rentals, so there's no taxes due. We don't do a lot of business up here. And then if you flip to the second page, it shows for the year, and it needs to be below 27,000 there, and we're at 18. So really, it's just an oversight, just getting it in late. So we're just hoping that you can show that there's no taxes due on that.
On that particular piece of equipment?
Correct. So if you look at the out date and the in date, that's kind of when the equipment's checked in and checked out. So if it's just for one day, it could be a demo. If it's a few more days like that one, but it still also falls under that tax bracket.
have you guys got any questions?
I don't think so. I'm just looking, make sure I got it right.
So this is what's done with by the assessor's office? Is that who handles this?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Pardon me?
It's state assessed.
State assessed?
All you're doing is the billing, and I've got information if you'd like to know about it.
That would be great.
So you mean the state's the one that had an oversight?
I have letters that can read, that they've sent to us, and we don't value these. We only collect.
Hey, Rod, can you come up and speak into the mic for us?
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
So we could have, because that would be good information for us to know.
This is actually a state assessed property. Because they're located in Salt Lake, they are to respond to the State Tax Commission to report where all of their equipment is each and every year.
Okay.
Then the state sends it to us with the value that they have allocated to those properties, and then we do the billing. So the only part of this is we're doing the billings and the collections on it. They do the valuation. The letter that I have from the state says Kate did not respond at all to several requests to gather this information. Therefore, due to noncompliance, we were required per the above-mentioned rule to use, which is, it's 592306, if you want to see that. Therefore, due to noncompliance, we are required per the above-mentioned rule to use accelerated reporting for the 2023 filing. Kate did not contact us to let us know of any illness. If your county has received a letter from Kate stating that the state completed the filing incorrectly, note that this is not the case. Do not accept their individual filing. Continue with your normal course of action on the information we provide on March 2023. So they tried to, and you can answer that, they tried to then file with us so that they could get around what the state was telling them, and the state saying, do not accept that. This is state assessed property. They have been in contact. They didn't do what they were.
And that's a letter you've got that's from the State Tax Commission, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So help me understand, was this equipment used in Box Elder County? Is that why
It
Box
was in
Elder?
Box Elder County as of January 1st, which is the lien date of any taxes.
Yeah.
Now, if they move it around throughout the rest of the year, that's insignificant. The reason the state is doing it, because this is a company that owns or leases equipment out to all areas of the state. That's why they're required to file with the state rather than
It's
locally
like
assessed.
centrally assessed type stuff, but yet, I say, I've been here for 11 years, I've never seen, that's why I kept looking, I've never seen
No,
this.
there's not a whole lot of them that do this.
Okay.
It's a little different than centrally because centrally is unitary, which is that's your big companies, but state assessed does do a few of these like this, where they're located to win position and having.
So then my concern is, the state's telling us to do our regular course and tells us we should do this, but yet, this is the state's dealing.
An appeal for this would have to go through the state.
Okay, that's
So
what
if
I'm,
they're
that's what I'm
appealing the
getting at.
value, that has to go back through the state.
Okay,
So I'm okay with it's below this right here, because we never went to that. This is what it is, so,
that's what I was
that-
confused about.
yeah, so my whole thing is it's just, on our end, it was due to filing late. For someone that had a medical issue, so.
Filing late then makes it so you cannot get an exemption if you file late unless you've reached out to do them. That exemption has to come through the State Tax Commission where they are the ones. And I think they've made that very clear
I
that,
haven't seen any letters. I'm just stepping in for Terry, so I'm not aware
Okay.
of that.
So can you give her that letter?
I'm sorry. Can I
Get a copy of that.
Copy of that letter?
Okay. So is there anything that you can do on this? It has to go through the state.
I tell you, I was just gonna say, yeah, I just go through the state. Sorry about that, I
Give
wish,
you all the encouragement we can.
yeah,
I think it needs to go to the state, though.
if it was up to me, I'd
Can we make a copy of
take care of it.
Thank you. Thanks, Rod,
Thank
for
you,
your help.
thanks, Rod. Charlene, bet you thought this moment had never come.
Okay, now we're gonna see how technological ability I got here.
Okay, Charlene Larson, County Auditor, and we'll just walk through a few slides explaining our budget and the services we provide.
It's those,
Sorry.
he's
I
dropping.
seen everybody in the back changing seats and and the only one that's not gonna hit is yours.
Everybody's thinking she had cool music to her PowerPoint
Yeah, I was like,
presentation here. It's like, you got some interesting sounds there, some white noise there.
That was weird.
The county provides services that include general government, public safety, public health and welfare, streets, and public improvements, fairground management, tourism, solid waste management, library services, and conservation and development programs. Next slide. These are the funds that exist within our county and an explanation of what they are. General fund is general purposes for the whole county-wide is housed in that fund. Municipal service fund is for unincorporated county where we provide municipal-type services such as building inspections, community development, economic development, things of that nature. The landfill is self-explanatory. That's our one enterprise fund, meaning they have revenues to offset their expenses. Justice Court has a separate fund as well for all of their revenue and fines and such, and expenses
While you're on
related.
that, so Justice Court has their own fund, so they take in funds and then they disseminate some of those back out to like the cities that are involved, is that how?
Yes, the ones they're servicing, they have contracts with for a certain percent to go back to the cities like Brigham and Perry.
And the state gets a portion of this as well, probably, right?
There's various fees that go various places.
Okay.
So yeah, we're collecting some fees for the state as
Okay.
well through
Okay.
that. The tourism fund includes our fairgrounds and the fair and also Joan Hammer's tourism office.
And that's by a separate tax.
Right,
Two
so
taxes.
all of our room taxes and restaurant
Tax.
specific tax is designated for tourism purposes. So that's a restricted source that we use in that fund. Capital Project Fund is viewed as tracking capital projects for the county that are like a one-time expenditure that you wouldn't put in an operating budget. So you want to pull that out and typically hold that in a separate fund. And we usually provide revenues to that fund through general fund monies such as the PILT payment and such to help fund those type projects. County Library Fund is our bookmobile program that services unincorporated county. And then the redevelopment agency funds are for the redevelopment areas in the county. Next slide. Okay, and so I just wanted to review some of the major highlights of our revenues and what assumptions were made. General county property taxes should come in at about 9.95 million. Assessing and collecting has a separate tax as well, and that's a 2 million. And then we get a state allotment as well of 100,000. Our municipal services fund has its own separate tax as well for residents in unincorporated county. And that provides 1 million to that fund. And then our county library has a designated tax for their operation to those unincorporated residents that don't have a library. Next slide. This is what we put into the budget for this year. We're assuming a cost of living of 4% increase. Our health insurance costs raised 5.5%. We also did a market study adjustment to various positions across the whole county and adjusted wages for that to bring them up to market with other public entities throughout the state as a comparison. And then we did an additional 4.5% for all public safety officers to try and bring them up to closer to the local level of what public safety is being paid. And then I've listed all the positions we're adding this year. We have one purchasing agent that will be coming to my office, the auditor's office. We'll have a part-time victim advocate moving to a full-time position in the attorney's office. We have 3 positions added at the landfill, 2 heavy equipment operators and 1 seasonal spotter. We have 3 positions with fire. They have a clerk going from part-time to full-time, a deputy fire marshal, and we have a vehicle equipment installer that will be shared between the fire and sheriff's department. We're also adding a 1 part-time library clerk and an additional weeds operator.
While we're on this, don't want to point out a couple things. Number one, just so everybody knows, that 5.5 for health insurance, our HR folks and our employee committee that works on benefits, they really worked together to get that, work with PHP, with Gallagher Group to get that price down to 5, because when they first started, they were projecting 10.5 to 11, I think.
much
somewhere.
higher.
12 to 17% was gonna be the market adjustment for health insurance this year. So they have done a phenomenal job to get us down to a 5.5% increase rather than what we were really looking at, which would have had an impact. And then the other question, I know, we've talked about, you want to explain what we're looking at with the purchasing agent for the auditor's office?
So we're trying to centralize purchasing and have bidding procedures go through that person rather than each individual department doing their own. That way you kind of remove the person from that's doing the project to make sure there's a fair bidding procedure. And I also want to use that person to update our purchasing policy and enforce that policy.
And that person will also be able to work with the state purchasing, and they can
I'm
actually help.
hoping that
State
we'll-
purchasing can do some stuff
Right.
for us as well.
Be more familiar with the state contracts that are available, and just, we really want them focused in on purchasing. So I also want that person to be issuing the POs, which we have various people covering that in our office right now, and become familiar with our purchasing card system as well. So will be all purchasing.
Okay, and I know we talked about this at some point, but maybe, Steve, can you just, why we're moving from one part, I mean, I know we've had victim advocates moving to one part-time from a part-time to a full-time.
Yeah, because of the increased caseload coming from the criminal matters that are being tried in court. The number of cases we analyzed those, and they're more than they should be for each victim advocate. So in order to make it so they're not working too much overtime.
Okay, and I know Gina's not here, but I do know she discussed the reason, obviously, to increase the number of workload at the landfill is because of the extra work they're doing because of Procter & Gamble, P&G, and taking in extra loads there, which is also producing more revenue. Our fire, Kevin, you want to explain the fire clerk for part-time to full-time? And maybe, I don't know, you or the sheriff could explain you could explain the deputy fire marshal, and then maybe talk about the equipment installer split between the two departments. You want to just come up front here by the mic and just so everybody knows what we're talking about with these positions we're looking at if we're gonna fund them. Since they're in your department, we thought we'd have you come and tell us about it.
So fire clerk.
You need to say your
Lloyd
name.
Box Elder Fire Marshal.
Hey, yeah.
The
What's
fire
your name?
clerk,
Box
have
Elder.
Part-timer.
What's your name?
We know you're-
Lloyd, Box
Sorry.
Elder Fire Marshal.
When they're doing the minutes.
Louder.
Yeah.
Louder and clearer.
Sorry.
Had a part-time fire clerk. She was only working 32 hours a week. She ended up leaving us. So the position's been open, but we have a need for her to work 40 hours. And she didn't want that, but now we have a position open that we'd like to move full-time, take some off of Tiffany, and so we can keep that office.
What would the fire clerk do? What do they do?
The biggest thing they do is the fire permit, burn
Okay.
permits.
Billings.
But we got billing, we have parade stuff,
Yeah.
pretty much everything.
Okay. And then your deputy fire marshal?
Me? No.
Oh, that would be,
I would
that's the
like-
other
yeah,
position.
I would like a deputy fire marshal, help me take a little workload off of me with the permits and plans. Because once we hit stage 1 restrictions, which we did July 12th this year, now we have to do site visits, and burn permits have to be a handwritten permit, so that takes even more time.
Okay.
Building permits, building inspections, there's a lot that we can start doing with inspections for countywide for businesses, that wouldn't mind adding that too.
Charlene, so we can probably get some of that dedicated fund money that comes into the inspection place and actually pay those guys and some of that out of that, if that's what they're doing. So we'll be able to separate that out.
And I've got an inspection fee schedule that I can actually impose too.
Yep.
Okay. And then, so we need to fix. Yeah.
Right.
I haven't done it yet. I haven't given it yet.
So we need to get that worked out. And then the last one would be that, I know the sheriff's office talked about, but the vehicle equipment installer split between you guys and sheriff.
Well, they already got a full-time one, and now you're just gonna split between the two? Is that what's happening, Kev?
Yeah, I'm building trucks. I got 2 brush trucks sitting down there right now, ready to build. I don't know what they're gonna cost me for the build. I'm buying all the pieces and parts, and got a company local that's gonna put it together for me. But if we kept it in-house, I
Cheaper.
don't think it's gonna cost near as much.
Well, if we did that, and maybe the sheriff, I don't know, Arcade, one of you guys can explain, if we did that, I know one of the concerns we have right now is our radio system in this county is not working effectively. We're having some issues with UCA, the state radio folks. I know there's a meeting scheduled for this next week on November 8th for some of the users that are involved. I've been making some phone calls and trying to find some of this out. But just so you're all aware, the downside is UCA has been readily available to fix some of the problems specifically related to paging, to get fire paged out for various events. And so one of the things that we were looking at is we have one of our individuals that works with the sheriff's office who has been doing, I assume he's been doing some install, right? But he also does a lot of radio work, and maybe bringing him over to do more radio work and less install work, and to get somebody else to do install work, because that particular employee is invaluable when it comes to radio work, which I think is why we're looking at something like this, is because we have some issues with UCA. We're gonna have to work those out. UCA is pretty much telling us if it's not 800, we're not gonna touch it. We have a lot of radios that are still, radios and paging systems that are on the VHF, is that right? I had to remember. I want to say VHS. My mind is thinking old, but it's VHF. Anyway, the VHF radio system. And so that's one of the concerns we have, and that's why on this budget, we have to think about those positions. So I just wanted to make sure the public's aware of why this is in our budget, why we're looking at those. Because it is a public safety issue that is coming down on fire and law enforcement in our county, so.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Thanks.
And then, I don't know, we'll just throw out, I mean, on the library clerk, I remember it's our current library director. I mean, you can answer that one, Stan, on the library.
Yeah, and actually, they were going to hire another driver, and they decided that what they're gonna do is just let this part-time clerk go full-time and take the advantage off the full-time driver. So they're not gonna hire the full-time driver and just be able to hire this clerk full-time.
I think they're, like Heather that's their is going to do more of the administrative, and Brad's gonna do driving full-time for this as a temporary fix and bring someone in to help her with
'Cause they
some of
can't
the
find,
library.
they can't find anybody that wants to drive and work anyway.
And
So
on the weeds operator, I think some of that'll be paid for out of funds indirectly paid back to the weeds department, right, for the services they provide?
Possibly they have a grant.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think that's the request is to try, no? Okay, I think that it was
well-
part of that, was part of the discussion on that weed operator,
and usually
was
the
to try and
grants
help
are
pay
only
for some of that.
for application and materials. They usually don't pay for operators, so
Yeah, I don't know that that covers really an employee.
I don't think it covers any of that, so. But the county's a big county, and we can't get to everything as it is, so.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that while we're on this discussion, so.
Okay.
This is your chance to review where the elected officials' salaries will be at. It's part of public's right to know, so that's where it'll be set at if we go forward with the 4%. Elected officials get no merit increase, so they do get an additional percent, so they're a 5% increase. Next.
Have you
unless-
seen the recommendations from, there's a private organization, I think, that does recommendations on these? Have we seen
I
any of
have
that?
not,
Okay.
and I don't think that they reevaluated it based on market.
Okay.
I mean, I would encourage that in the future if we're losing people to public
They
service.
aren't willing to run and stuff, yeah, no, I can see that, so.
Next, okay, so explaining some of the transfers between funds. We have quite a bit of CI capital projects this year, so we're gonna be transferring 1.8, and that should have $1 million behind it. I see that error now. That'll be going to the capital projects fund. And we have emergency building storage that's being funded through grant funding, ARPA and a state grant. Justice Court Fund typically transfers some to the general fund to help offset public safety for court security and such. And that stayed at $500,000 for a lot of years. We probably could reevaluate what the actual cost and help them cover some of the public safety needs that they have. And then I do a transfer every year because we centralized our building department, so all the utilities get billed currently to the general fund. And I have to have the other funds cover their own utilities, and so I do a transfer at the end of the year based on actual utility costs. And that's the 734,000 estimated. Municipal Service Fund, that's coming from his grant, so that's,
Well, you know,
His
back up for
grant
just a second. So
funding.
734,000 to various, and that's for all utilities, for all
that's all
county?
utilities for departments that are not in the general fund. So it would be the landfill, library building,
Fairground.
Fairgrounds,
fairgrounds,
things out, sheriff's department.
partial of the sheriff's department. Well, they're all general fund for the jail, so.
Jail is general
that-
fund, but all
That
the,
would be all reflected already in the general fund.
our buildings out west would not
That's
be.
also like professional tech services that's related to buildings, so not just the utilities, but also like any parts or whatever that the building department has to buy to do repairs to the buildings and such, all get billed centrally and reviewed by the Buildings and Grounds Department. And so then I just take their totals at the end of the year and charge the various funds that should be paying.
Yeah,
for
we've
their
got,
own.
right now, we got an issue out in Park Valley we're dealing with, so yeah, I get that. Okay, just so I had an understanding of that, that's great.
Yeah, that all happened when we centralized the Building and Grounds budget,
So Charlene, what is EM grant? What's the EM stand for?
Emergency management.
Emergency management, okay.
So as we get to the capital project and you see that he still has his building on there, that grant will just flow through the municipal service fund, which is where a lot of his budget is at. So that's where we put the revenue.
Okay.
The big one at the bottom is I am proposing a transfer of $1 million out of the landfill to the general fund. We've have host fees and administrative fees costs that we help the landfill through a lot of administrative functions, specifically HR, IT, my office. And our host fee has never been adjusted since the inception of that, which was in 2006. And so I can do an actual analysis and back that up as far as we should have really been adjusting that for inflation or cost of living increases over the time, which we've never done for that fund. And so that's what I'm proposing there. There's some negotiation with Gina about whether it all comes, how we split that, but she's concerned to have host fees too high in case we have a private landfill come in, then private landfills also have to pay us a host fee to make that host fee reasonable. So, but regardless, there may be some adjustment and tweaks to that,
Thanks for doing that this year.
yeah. Well, we kind of needed it based on the next slide. So what I'm proposing, as you look at this, you see our total revenues, the transfers in that I was talking about, and our expenditures, and you see a lot of deficits on that other side over there. Typically, we've been fairly conservative on what revenues we receive, and fairly lenient with the budgets that the departments have. And so we don't typically come in 11 million negative, but when I looked at 2022, we did come in almost 8 million that was overstated of a deficit. So I'm a little nervous that we're higher than 8 million. I would really like to encourage the departments to base their budgets on actual, but that's a struggle because there's a historical way that they've been doing their budgets. Because of us being a little bit negative, and a lot of it is market salary adjustments and trying to help be competitive with public safety, I am proposing we use the remaining balance of our ARPA funding and $1 million of our LATCF funding, and that's in my revenue projections. But then also, I would like to see, but that's up to you, like each department try and cut 4% out of their budgets as they currently stand.
And did
That
we-
would take us down to about what we typically are overstating our expenditures.
And what did we get with growth this year? Did we ever get figure
around
for
$1
that?
million in growth.
We got $1 million
revenue.
in growth. That's what I thought.
But as we look further into these slides, you'll see that the personnel budgets are higher than growth. So
Right.
if there's any other questions on those, so that one's by department.
So the first
So you
one's the
can
general, and the
see-
second one's by department, okay.
Right, so this is all the general fund and all the departments that belong in the general fund. You can see where they were in 22 actuals, where their budget's sitting at this year, and what their proposed budget is. I'm planning to make all these slides available on the website as well for people to look at.
Okay.
And once you're done with that, we can look at municipal services and some, well, first, the public safety
You wanna go to
section.
Public safety? Are we good? You ready to go to this one?
Public safety, that's the portion, public safety is split between the general fund, and that's mostly like the jail and all of that is general fund. Then we split patrol and detective and our administrative partially to the municipal service fund because they do most of their work out in unincorporated county. So we do a different split based on which thing we're looking at. But most of them are like a 60-40 split, so we cover 60% in the general fund. So then again, as you look at this, you'll see the ones that are being charged to municipal service fund under public safety, along with fire, it's fully municipal service fund, community development, building inspections, economic development, and our roads and weeds department. And then our tourism, that's just a split of the budget of what goes to the fairgrounds for normal operation, and then the tourism office, and then our county fair is tracked separately. This is, I added in this year just so you could get a feel for how much of budget goes to the various types of expenses. So you can see in the general fund, if you go to the next slide, that in the general fund, the biggest portion of our budget is personnel and benefits. Next is professional tech. We have a lot of postage and things to mail out our tax notices, and that's in that category. Go to the next slide when you're ready.
Okay, yep.
So this is our municipal services fund. You'll see that there, as you go to the next slide after,
Yep.
that they have a smaller percent that's personnel and benefits because they have a lot of other type of expenses for the road department, and obviously a lot of supplies for our public safety and such.
Okay.
And our last major fund is the tourism. Their budget actually went down just slightly this year, so. And a much smaller portion of theirs is personnel and benefits. I'd have to dig into the professional technical there, but a lot of contract services, probably that has a lot to do with all the people we pay for the fair operations too.
Right.
So.
Makes sense.
And last but not least is all of our proposed capital projects by department. I carried over the restroom to next year's budget so that that's still being budgeted for out at the fairgrounds. Any questions on those? It's multiple pages, so you can advance on as you, yeah.
So you mentioned you was gonna recommend a 4% reduction in each budget, each department, and will that offset the ARPA funds and the LATC funds?
No, I'm gonna need both.
But
to
I
be at
mean,
a
I mean
comfort.
ongoing. I mean, next year and the year after that.
No.
ARPA funds.
You're gonna need a different revenue stream. This is kind of patchwork right now, so. To be able to keep up with personnel benefits.
Inflation.
And, you know, honestly, I hesitated to ask for the 4% decrease because as you looked at the general fund and how much of those people that are in the general fund, most of it's personnel and benefits, and we can't adjust those. And we have fairly tight budgets in the offices here. Like, we don't have a lot of supplies or anything that we buy and what we do. I think it's pretty set as far as what costs to mail out ballots and things like that, so. We can go forward without the 4%, but I think you'll see a decrease in our fund balances if you do, whatever you're comfortable with there. So I think I got the general fund in a pretty good spot. The municipal service fund has quite a bit of makeup to do there. But they also have a bigger fund balance currently.
And much of the landfill things that we have on here will be paid for out of the funds the landfill generates.
Right.
Yeah,
That's all
yes.
of it. We are handling a lot of that.
A lot of this is, again, additions because of the increased service they're doing for P&G, that she needs
Right.
more equipment and fences and such.
Yep.
So just think if we'd have been doing that the last 20 years,
Yeah, I mean,
that would
the
have,
landfill's healthy and they've always pretty much covered their costs. We've never, so the thing that we've lacked on is probably making sure that they're covering our administrative costs that we provide for them,
Right.
so.
And then for the roads department, we'll be able to cover some of these road costs with some of the tax funds.
That's true. Okay, so the biggest portion of the transportation tax is coming in this year.
Well, it
And
should
so
be
as you look
two.
at my amendment, I think it's in there. And then I've reflected in the revenues, they've told us how much we'll be getting going forward.
yeah,
So that's,
the one time this year plus the other part and then ongoing.
yeah,
Okay.
but the biggest payment is this year,
Right.
so
It'll be the
they'll have a
two.
little bit more fund balance to work with
Right.
because that revenue will be sitting in the fund balance starting next year. So,
Okay.
so that's your total of capital projects, which is much higher than we typically do, but you'll see a landfill has a good portion of that they typically don't spend that much on capital projects.
The biggest chunk is the landfill, right?
Yeah.
And, well, if you take landfill and county
And we're doing
roads.
quite a bit in the general fund type stuff than we normally do with adding generators for emergency situations and
Right,
those type of items, so.
okay. Okay,
I was gonna say. Thank you.
I think I have a budget amendment. Am I right after with that?
let me see if I
Or
can
you'll
pull
need
it.
to bring up that.
Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Is it,
I think we gotta have
Oh,
the
you gotta
hearing.
have the public hearing
hearing
first
first.
for that, yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll do that after.
all right.
Okay, we're gonna open up a public hearing now to discuss the proposed 2024 budget. Please speak specifically to the public hearing on the budget, and I think you get 3 minutes. And if you take it, that's great, but if not, shorter the better. So specifically to the budget. We'll open that now.
Okay, Deanna Hardy Brigham. When my neighbor and I held the Brigham City Tea Party event in 2009, our federal debt was 10 trillion and our county debt was 20+ million. And that was with all the bond debt for the jail and the Justice Center. This county's scheduled bond debt had been paid off and our budget should have gone down, but it has been steadily increasing to 52 million. And our federal debt is now 33.6 trillion. The people have asked time and time again for our government to stop spending, to cut government programs, and return our economic system back to the free market system, only to have our cries ignored. The Lord tells us if you do not heed our cries, that he will rise and come forth out of his hiding place in his due time, and will cut off those wicked, unfaithful, and unjust stewards, and appoint them their portion among hypocrites and unbelievers. The good news is the Lord has not come yet, so there's time for repentance and return to our government. Return our government back to its limited and proper role. Each state, county, city, organization, individual contributes to the destruction from within when they receive and spend government money that is not authorized by our Constitution. Remember, the states created the federal government and enumerated only a few defined powers. The printing of money and handing it out to the state, county, cities, organization, individuals is not found in our U.S. Constitution. Our founding fathers have taught us that if it is contrary to the U.S. Constitution, it is null and void. The spending of all this money is causing our destruction from within, the devaluing of our dollar and inflation, which is hurting all of us. The spending of all this unconstitutional money eventually will lead us to bankruptcy. This is a betrayal to our country and to all those military men and women who gave their all for our freedom and liberty. The Box Elder County Committee of Liberty opposes the 2024 budget, and we admonish our representatives to stop spending by taking the millions of unconstitutional money from the federal government through COVID, ARPA, LATC funds, etc. We ask our representatives to cut all unconstitutional government programs and restore the free market system within our county. The Bible teaches that the government should take that which is necessary, and it is not necessary to take citizens' money to pay for unconstitutional government programs. The necessary government programs are the sheriff, jail, courts, roads, with a few accounting and recording procedures. Everything else should be returned back to the free market system. And we thank you for taking the time to listen to us. And it's always like the government gets to increase. They always get an increase while the citizens suffer. So please think of us.
Any more? Okay, seeing no. Oh,
I've never done this before.
well, just state your name and where you're doing.
I did bring a copy.
You can just go.
I'll give it to you afterward.
You can just give it to the clerk when she can pass it out to us.
On the paper that I just handed her, I have submitted another letter to the editor about the event on,
Would you mind telling us who you are?
oh, I'm Janine Bill from Riverside.
Sorry, thank you.
And I'm grateful for the moment to speak. And I won't go into the letter to the editor, it'll just tell you what
Are
I
you gonna
was
talk about,
addressed.
you're gonna talk about the tax issue?
The new ordinance for the uncorporated.
Oh, no, that's
Okay.
for public comment. This is just
Sorry.
specifically for the budget.
Oh, this is
So,
just on the, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
I-
just come up in a minute.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get you back up.
We'll get you back
Okay.
up there.
Yes.
All righty.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
That's fine.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor? Aye. Now Charlene, a proposed amendment. What's that?
The small print, I know that you don't like that, but I was trying to fit it all on one page.
Save a tree.
I will post it on the website and y'all can expand it as big as you want. This is adjustment to this year's budget for some needs. I'm also adjusting some revenue lines. Probably the biggest one is state ARPA monies that are flowing through us for the broadband project, that I was not aware that that's how the state money was gonna work.
I did
Like, it
not know
can't
that
go to
either.
Bragg,
When
it
did you
has
find
to
that
come
out?
to, when it started getting bills for stuff and finding out how we were gonna pay them. So you'll notice that there's an expenditure line and a revenue line that matches each other. So we're basically a pass-through for the broadband build-out that's coming through state funding.
Okay.
That's not the county portion that we also contributed. We've had an increase in number of state jail inmates, so we have an increase in that budget as well. And actual property recordings have fallen along with building inspections and such, so we are seeing a slowdown in some of that fee collection.
The cost we get for the jail inmates doesn't cover, I mean,
No.
it's there, but doesn't, it really, it's kind of like PILT, right?
Right, so before we had we were hitting pretty close to capacity, and then COVID happened and rules changed or whatever. And so they don't have as many inmates from county now, so they do supplement that by bringing in state inmates. So I just didn't realize how many they would be bringing in, so my revenue projection there was low for 2023. Landfill's pretty explanatory why that's a big chunk of the changes. We didn't know how much revenue we would be getting and the associated equipment she's had to buy this year as well. And I did miss getting Jan's capital projects budget in, so I'm plugging that in for her now. I'm not sure what she's spending. She hasn't spent really anything yet, but just in case.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
And you'll say this will be on the website, so anybody has any questions.
You can look at it in
okay,
detail, yeah.
and bring a magnifying glass. Just kidding.
Yeah, you can blow it up.
So right now, I mean, it's fairly low actually, when I look at the increase of in contract for fire service. Looks like there's a slight adjustment, but that could go up dramatically in this next year as they come back, as the folks come back to us. And I've talked to several communities that say we're not paying enough for the fire service that we're providing in the county area, so.
Yeah, so I guess, budget amendments really should be something we're doing regularly, which has not been historically done that way with the county. I'd like to see us look at things quarterly. If we know new programs are coming in, it should be done ahead of receiving above our budget and spending above our budget. So I'd really like to get in the habit of the departments knowing that I will take care of them, but also as you're doing your budget to plan for those future revenues and to tell me that you'll be getting more money so that I can plan for it in your budget.
Okay.
Well, we were talking last night about of these things that are happening that the state pulls down on us that requires us to do this stuff with not only roads and all the things that we're supposed to do with building and things like that. There's anything we have to do, it's like a state amendment, and then we can't keep up, so we end up having to hire more people. So we were talking to one of the representatives last night, me and Commissioner Perry, and saying, maybe sometimes you don't like the federal government doing it to you. You guys shouldn't do it to us, especially now that we can't find anybody to work. So, you have to do inspections in 3 weeks now compared to whatever it was? It's just crazy, the timeline. And when we don't find any people to work, it's tough to do that. So,
Right.
okay.
That
Anything
one
else?
will need a vote after your public comment period for the budget amendment.
You mean after?
After you have a public comment period, because you'll have to have a public hearing, public hearing related specifically to this. I think the agenda only listed the public hearing portion where I had to do a little presentation, and then
so
you're required to open a public hearing
Okay,
for that
I
as
see it
well.
now.
Yep.
Okay, I'll open up a public hearing, proposed amendment to the 2023 budget. If you have any questions specifically to the proposed amendments for the 2023 budget, you can talk now.
I wasn't prepared for this one, but Deanna Hardy Brigham. Again, this is not right how we're doing things. If you say the state is forcing you to do things, this is not correct, and you need to declare nullification because they're usurping power that they do not have, just like the federal government. Federal government should not be doing all the things that they're doing. So we need our state representatives to stand up and declare nullification. Thomas Jefferson said this is the rightful remedy whenever the government usurps power that they do not have.
Do you have anything to say about the adjustments with the amendments specifically?
The adjustments,
That's what we have
he
to
didn't
do.
really give us much time to prepare on that, but
Okay.
I don't agree with a lot of what you're doing. In fact, the majority of what you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move that we close the public hearing on the
Second.
proposed amendments.
I've got a commission, I got a, by Commissioner Bingham, a second by Commissioner Perry, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to indigent.
You need a motion.
Oh,
Yeah, we need a motion to accept the
oh, yeah,
budget
accept the
amendments.
budget amendments. Thank you.
We need a motion, we'll make a motion to accept the budget amendments proposed by our county auditor.
Second?
I got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now to the indigent burial request. Do you want to come up?
Okay, let me
Yeah, sorry.
close it, hang on, let's see. Give me just a second. Okay. Gotta go back out of this one. Close that one,
There you go.
back into this one.
I hope you're
How about
looking to
that?
see how
Okay,
he's doing
got
that,
it.
'cause I don't touch.
Okay, this is Chrissy Bennett, Commissioners.
Yeah. She's here to do our dirty work.
This is pretty straightforward. It's just
So who's doing it?
invoice Myers Mortuary.
Myers Mortuary?
Yeah,
Okay.
we just had an indigent burial. Just need approval to pay him the amount that,
I can never remember what it is now. Is it 1,500?
I think it's 1,500 if I remember right.
Up to
no,
50,
it's like only, it's 12.
up to
Yeah,
12. I think it's up to 12,
Yeah, it's
whatever they.
significantly less than what they always
What the
bill
cost.
us for,
Yep.
but
Have we received a bill from them yet?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, Charlene has it. It's been,
And it's just one?
just
yeah,
one.
just the one.
Make a motion that we pay the indigent burial request.
Second?
Got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. And to ratify and approval of the fee waiver of the fairgrounds, the guy who put that on last week for that cancer victim couldn't be here, so we needed to ratify it. He forgot to put it on the agenda, so it went really well. I think they raised like $19,000 for that cancer victim, that little girl, out to the fairgrounds. So, you know, he does this out of the goodness of his heart, and I know he's never taken payment or done anything else. So I'd request that we waive the fee for that event.
I'll make a motion, we ratify the approval of a fee waiver for the fairgrounds for the fundraiser.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Bingham, second by Commissioner Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Scotty.
All right. Got two items. First one is ordinance 590. This is a proposed rezone. It's been proposed by the landowner. It's located in the South Willard area at 7829 South, 1500 West. So it is just west of the Anderson Livestock Auction, if you're familiar with that area. It is the Andersons requesting the rezone. So that, the livestock auction sits on a 13.56 acre parcel, and they're looking to rezone the west 2 acres of that property in order to build a, subdivide it off and build a home there.
Okay.
So the requested rezone is from A20 to RR2, rural residential 2 acre. Then they would subdivide off that 2 acre parcel in order to build the home. Now, when it went through the planning commission process, public hearing was held. There was no public comment in favor of it or opposed to it. And ultimately, the recommendation the planning commission made was they forwarded a recommendation of approval with modification. And the modification that they made is that in addition to the 2 acre zone, where that, on the west portion of it, that the remaining 11.5 acres approximately would be zoned RR10. So currently it's A20, but because it's less than 20 acres,
Yeah,
the parcel can't
That
remain
makes sense.
A20 or it becomes more non-compliant. It already was non-compliant, but it becomes even more so. And technically, we're not allowed to increase the non-compliance of a parcel. So their modification was to change that to an RR10 zoning for the remainder of that acreage. And that's, anyway, that took place at their October 19th meeting. So that's what comes before you this evening if you have any questions.
So what's the zoning down there now? Is it 5 acres? Is that what it is?
It's A20, 20 acre.
Oh, it's 20 acre,
parcel,
okay.
Correct. So that, I don't remember off the top of my head when that zoning went into place, but this 13.56 acre parcel existed prior to the
that
adoption of
zoning.
that zoning.
Yep.
And so
Okay.
it's deemed a legal non-conforming parcel. but
Which we can't
because-
do.
Well, that's what took place when the zoning was adopted, but now we can't make it more non-conforming, and that's why the RR10 is recommended for the remainder parcel.
Okay.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
I will move that we accept the planning commission's recommendation to approve ordinance number 590, Anderson rezone.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Bingham, second by Commissioner Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Second item I have is a corridor preservation project. It's a funding request from the town of Manaway. It is for an intersection located on, let's see,
By the church.
no, that one was done in the spring.
Oh, this one's been spring?
The one right there by the church was done in the spring. This one is, I believe, on Fish Hatchery Road.
Oh, yes.
A little bit east of that one.
I was looking at pictures, yeah.
Yeah, so on Fish Hatchery Road, there are two roads, Meadow Lane and Rocky Dugway Road, intersect with Fish Hatchery Road, east of the church. And those kind of awkward intersection, basically the angle that the roads intersect with Fish Hatchery Road, intersections are generally safer if they approach at a 90-degree angle, and neither of those do. So the proposed project is to modify those intersections so that they would now approach at a 90-degree angle, and it would it would also include so some new surface work as well as paint, lane paint, directional arrows, things like that, stop signs. The total proposed project comes in at $99,056. Manaway, in order to qualify for funding, put up a 10% match, so they would be contributing $9,905.60 to the project, and they're requesting $89,150 from the Corridor Preservation Fund to make up the remainder of that project funding. So this project went to the COG on its October 16th meeting, was reviewed by them, and it did get approval at that meeting, so it then comes to you for final review and approval.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Manaway Corridor Preservation Funding request.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bingham, second by Commissioner Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Is that in their signature?
Okay, this is one of my favorite things that the state's done in the last little while. Instead of us just being able to notify the public about a road closure, we're required to have a public hearing. So we're gonna open up that public hearing at this time, and anybody who wanna speak specifically to the road closure and only to the road closure, they can speak at this time. And now that we've done what the state has told us to, we will close the public hearing. Need a motion to close the public hearing?
Second, motion to close public hearing, yes.
Second?
Just reading this.
I got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, do you want to come up and talk, Tyler? Do you want me to talk about this, the approval of the ordinance 589 for the roads department to close specific road based on safety, weather conditions, and winter season for 2024? Okay. We just have a couple of them that we do every year.
Tyler Wagstaff, Road Department. We got 2 roads, I think, well, 3.
Right.
Got the Dairy Road that we close when it gets snowy. We got up by the Dugway, Rocky Dugway, and that closes on the 15th of November every year. And the one up Willard
Peak.
Four-wheeler peak.
And so we got 4, so it's also the long divide or
Long
short divide.
Short divide.
Short divide
Yep. and that-
also,
Yep, and that closes when the weather hits.
when the
so-
weather hits. So,
And last year it was quite a while.
yeah.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
So these are all gravel roads, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Even the short divide is gravel?
Yeah.
No, short
No
divide's
fights.
asphalt.
Asphalt?
It's asphalt.
Up to the divide. Yep.
Yeah, we plow up to, Steed's Trail.
Steeds.
So even when it's closed, you plow that far, or?
Just up to the,
Just up
where it's
there.
closed.
Yeah, where we can get turned around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 589, allowing the roads department to close specified roads based on safety and weather.
Second?
I got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
Risk management. Come on up. Man, is this your first time?
He's done this before.
I'm just teasing.
So that's just the same form in duplicate for the 14B. That way I can get one back to them and then we can have a copy.
Okay, I'll sign it as soon as we get done. And you got a copy of this, Maura, or do you need this one?
Is that the resolution?
It might be in your, yeah, it's the resolution.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay,
So if he needs one, you can sign too,
okay,
and I'll keep one in.
all right.
They want it by today, so I'm gonna go run it over after the meeting.
No pressure.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, Jenica's gonna do it.
I'm
She
just
said she
teasing.
would, so.
Okay.
Okay, so, the first one, is just a small update to section 19, in our handbook. The first update is in 19.7, we changed the wording from, failure to report an equipment or vehicle accident to your supervisor. That used to say, by the end of your shift. That wording was changed to promptly.
Yes.
The obvious issue there was you could kind of roll the dice on whether or not you were going to say something about it. We want to encourage reporting, so that's the change there. And then the only other changes is 1911 and 1912 were added because we are very close to finishing a bloodborne pathogens program that is OSHA compliant. So that's all that is. The 3 components of that are an exposure control plan, hepatitis B vaccinations, and new hire and yearly trainings. So just for those at-risk departments.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion unless you guys got questions.
Make a motion to accept the changes to policy 19.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
And
And this next one is, Steve, do you want to take it or do you want me to explain it?
Doesn't matter. Basically, this is the representative that'll be at the UAC meetings to represent us in the county and USIP in their annual meeting. I'm normally the one that does that. Is there an alternate on this one too?
Yes, they want an alternate.
And the alternate would be Jenica? Yeah, so it just names me and then Jenica's the alternate.
does all 3 of us need to sign this, Marla? It's got 3 spots.
I think so.
Okay. Thanks, Chase.
All right.
You want a
Good to see
motion
you.
to approve the resolution? or
Yes,
not?
please.
Make a motion to approve
I'm waiting.
resolution 2313. Just checking on you.
Second?
Got a motion by Commissioner Perry, second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You gave him his copy?
Not yet. I'm working on it. Susan Lee keeps checking on me and signs his name to a couple.
Steve needs to sign this one.
So Steve needs to sign one,
Feet in my boots.
and this
Do I
one.
need to sign that?
I haven't been able to wear boots since I got shot in the back.
Oh, really?
Feels kind of good to get my shit
Yeah.
covers on again.
All right, it's on my,
Does it help him?
nice.
What's that?
Does it help him?
I can actually walk without crying.
Is it helping?
Okay, it's up to you, Mr. Lee.
Okay. We now have time for public comment. We have 2 people signed up for public comment. Rules are, again, you make your public comment, you've signed the form here, and need to follow the outlined rules by the County Commission Rules of Procedure. You'll have allowed up to 3 minutes to speak, regardless of number of items you want to talk about during that time. You need to address the comments to the commission only, and it's just a time to be heard. There'll be no back and forth between the commissioners. And then if you have extra copies, which we've already got from Ms. Bill, that can be given to the county clerk. So with that, I'm going to start with Janine Bill.
Now you can come up. There you go. Just state your name, where you're from.
I'm Janine Bill from Riverside. I've been there for about 40 years. And I have been neglectful in coming into the commissions and keeping alert, so I'm not pointing fingers to anyone. I did write a letter to the editor over the new ordinance on the incorporated farmland and stuff that you covered in the last commission. I'm not going to read my letter or anything. You can read that later, but just observing the little bit I've come into the commissioner meetings and stuff, I can see how difficult it is to be able to know what to rule on and what not to rule on, because you got people coming in here with good needs and everyone has good intentions. And in my letter to the editor, I was feeling really good about how you ruled and what you did, and then I learned the rest of the story. And I think the mistake we're making as citizens as well as public servants is we're ignoring the Constitution. And if we were looking at the Constitution when these issues came up, we would have a direction, and you guys would have a way to say no. I don't think you have a situation where you can say no. And so anyway, that's basically, I'm grateful I was able to come in and say it, but the commissioners mentioned that the property owners that were involved just spoke up and says, you don't have a right to tell us what to do with our property. And that's true. That's not your position. Now, you did, I know this is how we've been doing it. This is how the whole world's been doing it, and it'd be a hard thing to change course. But I just want to suggest that whenever you have an issue come up, you read through that Constitution and figure out what your authority really is. Because in my mind, it's only obvious that people are coming in here expecting the government to provide a way to do these good things that need to be done. And if we could eliminate the taxes and prosper as a community, these things would get taken care of. We're just too used to thinking it's up to you guys to come up with the answers. So anyway, I'm just going to leave my information with you there. And hopefully, because in my mind, I was really happy with everything going on until I heard the other side of the story. And everyone has the right to their property as long as they're using it in a proper way. And that's the only time that we have to step in it, is if it's being used improperly and going to be dangerous or hazardous to the community.
Time is up.
Anyway, thank you.
And the second person is Deanna Hardy.
Okay, Deanna Hardy Brigham. Our Utah Constitution, Article 12, Section 20 states, free market system as a state policy, restraint of trade and monopolies prohibited. It is the policy of the state of Utah that a free market system shall govern trade and commerce in this state to promote the dispersion of economic and political power and the general welfare of all the people. Each contract, combination in the form of trust or otherwise, or conspiracy in restraint of trade or commerce is prohibited, except as otherwise provided by statute. It is also prohibited for any person to monopolize, attempt to monopolize, or combine or conspire with any other person or persons to monopolize any part of trade or commerce. Each representative took an oath of office to support, obey, and defend the U.S. Constitution and the Utah Constitution. The inland port is a public-private partnership, which is fascism. By allowing the inland port to come to our state and county, The Utah Constitution is being violated, as well as the free market system, according to Article 12, Section 20. The inland port is a monopoly and a political power. The inland port would be setting up its own taxing authority, which would cause additional harm to all the citizens by capturing more of the citizens' dollars. The people are already struggling from the many government taxing entities. In a recent article, it was reported in a new report, the Center for Economic Accountability analyzed economic development data from all 50 states and the District of Columbia, and there's very little to show for the billions in annual spending for government-controlled economic development. I do not have time to read the report, so I'll attach it to my petition for redress. Government should not be involved in business. It creates an unfair playing field. The government should not be taking our tax dollars to pay for the county small business program. This is another unconstitutional program that needs to be defunded. The Box Elder Committee of Liberty petitions our representatives to uphold their oaths of office by abiding by our Utah Constitution, Article 12, Section 20, free market system, and not allowing the inland port to enter our state and county. We also petition our representatives to defund the small business program in our county. Businesses should all be given the equal opportunity for a fair playing field without government intervention. Liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the public comment.
Okay, seeing nothing else, well, we got to sign something. Jenica?
Personnel. Right.
Then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
You want to sign first?
No? Go ahead and make a motion. You can second it. I just won't clarify it yet.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Perry. Second by Commissioner Bingham. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you much. Have a safe drive home. Thank you.